We've got some acoustic stuff fill in there, and nice and clean. So what I did is I soldered in a connection here. I thought this was going up to the speaker, but actually this goes down to the speaker, and I checked it with a multimeter and a battery, and this line is going right over to the amp, and there's a really short line going right up there into that door, and then these two lines are going around that side door area and up through here and to the backup speakers. I got all the wires tidied up, and for this I just put some 77 3M spray adhesive right here and put some acoustic stuff filling. And I think the reason why this housing's here on this small vent back here is because of rainwater coming down, maybe through the top of the window if there's a drain. So it helps keep the speaker in good condition. I also put a little bit of stuffing down there. This, I'm not sure if this will mold because it's going to be under the elements theoretically, and I can take this off and grab it back out. It's just a little bit here down here just to help reduce reflections and make it sound a little bit better. On the driver's side, I have it all soldered up. I have positive, negative, and this is positive, negative, and just confirming that polarity is good. Okay, good. Got the speakers in and put a little cover around here. So when the grill, when the door cover goes up, it'll increase this area because there's a gap between here and here. And I heard from pro audio guys that if this goes here, it'll make a gap and the sound will only go out or go behind, but it won't go in between the panel and the metal door. And these look good. All it's in phase. It's all going out the same direction. And there's a little bit of rattling, but some of the rattling is like when I turn it up, there's rattling right here. So for this, I think this is going to put a lot more bass out, and with the mains that are going to be in front dash, I think it'll be a good sound overall. Not too much rattling. Glad I didn't spend too much extra time trying to sound muffle it or soundproof it, because the door all back together, it's a lot less rattling. You can hear this is not much, and here this one's rattling a lot more. So it just needs to be put together. And this is with the window down, so let's see. Oh. I don't hear it less with the window up, but the window's tight and it's still, it's not maybe back there rattling, but it looks, yeah. Really happy with this side, and this side I think it's going to be a lot better once it's all buttoned up. The other side fits just fine, but I went ahead and trimmed a little bit more around this to make it nice, just fit nice in this. So it's a nice tight seal, but it's not binding around the edges of this grill. I've had a lot of fun over the last few days playing with crossovers. A whole box of crossover pieces lets me to do almost every combo I need to for at least one three-way or one two-way. So these are the speakers I've played around with. I've had a textile 1-inch from Peerless. I had a 1-inch soft dome from Dayton, and I had a 3/4 inch from Peerless also. And I've had so many fun. I've had so much time with crossing over and playing, doing a two-way here and making these like a mid-sub. And I found for this room, or this area, there's a huge peak at 250 hertz off of this guy right here, just probably reflecting off the windows. So doing a two-way up here, crossing at 125 hertz and above, and doing this as kind of a mid-sub, and then the back 10-inch kicker, a full sub, it didn't work. And it worked out pretty good by having this just a mid-bass and this a tweeter, but was lacking something. So I used a three-way combo, played a lot of time around getting it just right. It sounds really good. I'll probably do a demo after I get all the speakers in and get all buttoned up. But the final choice, or the final selection I did, and all these speakers were highly rated for car audio. So I went through a lot of testing. This might be helpful. So I went for the Peerless Textile Dome Tweeter. It's the BC25SC0604. I went for the Dayton Reference RS100 4 ohm at 4-inch aluminum, and it has a standard ferrite magnet. And for these guys, it is the Dayton aluminum neodymium ND140 4 ohm, and it's 5 1/4. And I made the template out there. Yeah. So the crossover setup I have right now, I'm probably going to angle this up and make it a permanent mount that won't roll around when I'm driving. So I have a few ideas on how to make that happen, but I'll still need to play around a little bit. I might change the crossover, but right now, which sounds amazing, the crossover is, it has a 8.5 ohm resistor, a 2.2 UF cap, and a 0.40 inductor. For the mid-range, I have a 55.2 UF cap, and I have a 0.71 mH inductor, and then I have a 0.5 mH inductor, followed with a 20 UF cap, and the woofer is a 3.5 mH inductor and a 68 UF cap. This is pretty big size capacitor, even though it's not as musical. So I'll probably go for the big ones or just one big one for the mid-range, because I'm not sounding good. And this is just the other side of it. So there's 2 components on the woofer. Let's go back. So there's 3 components on the tweeter. A resistor, I'll get 1 piece for that, a cap and an inductor. For the woofer, for the mid-range, there's a cap and a inductor, and then an inductor, then a cap. So 4 components, so 3, 4, and then 2, just an inductor and a capacitor. So it won't be too crazy. So 9 parts per side. And for the 5 1/4 in the back, I'm just going to use the same 3.5 mH and then a 68 UF just for the back. And I'm going to probably turn it down a little bit more than the front, just to have a little bit of fill. So it shouldn't affect all the work I've done with the crossovers. You get a nice flat frequency response that sounds good. So just fill in a little sound and won't change it too much. But yeah. So these are just end caps, 3-inch and 2-inch for PVC. And it's like they're a perfect fit. I have to sand a little bit here if I was going to use it. And this one, it's essentially a perfect fit. It's like the speaker was designed to work with this cap. Same with this. It's like just a perfect fit. And the thing is, I could easily mount this on this edge, and I could adjust the time alignment to get it to be perfect. And that's probably about right there, is about right, just a little bit below. And this would be easy to mount. On the driver's side, I could let it rest. On the passenger side, I need some elevation to get a tripod off. Otherwise, the speaker would be angling too far down. It wouldn't be angling up towards me or the passenger. The thing I'm concerned about is for tweeters, what makes the best baffle is called an infinite baffle. So essentially, if a tweeter was mounted inside a wall with infinite edging and the edges go out to the end, that would create the least amount of distortion. In the higher frequencies, the worst is, well, excluding like funky curved ends or other things like that, the worst is if there's a flat edge on the outside and if it's the exact same distance around. So with this design, I thought, well, it's a little bit bigger, but with this, it has a slight edge around, and it's a different distance all the way from here. Let's see. From here, and then all the way around, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So I believe this will create the least amount of distortion in the higher end frequency. Should be a really good compromise between not being too big of a speaker baffle and also reducing that distortion. Of course, there's going to be windows really, really close to this tweeter and doors and other things. And a car is not as ideal a listening room as in-ear headphones or really good over-the-ear headphones or a perfectly tuned room. So a car is going to be a little bit more difficult, but I hope this will help. There is a chance, of course, this slight variable isn't as big of a deal as just the convenience of a quick mounting and bolt-in, but this even here has a flat surface right there, so it will kind of rest on the angle, so it has a point of non-movability, and this is like almost a tripod between this and the back of this cup. So it kind of rests like this, and I have the distance to where that is the right angle up, if that makes sense. So my hope is with a single bolt, or 2 bolts if needed, it will kind of rest in place, and I just need to bolt it to probably the plastic of the A-pillar, and that should keep it lined up and also should keep it stable so it won't move around. Yeah. Nice. It's all in. It sounds good. Nice and tidy. I was planning to put both crossovers underneath this, but it wasn't enough space. And I was able to move this amp back a little bit and see how this works. But had to kind of mount this back up here in this area for the two rear crossovers. And yeah, sounds great.